Hi and welcome to Retro Eric. A few weeks ago I got this Pentium 200 MMX and I just cannot stop playing with it. At first I did not understand why I kept coming back to this computer. I have so many. Then I realized this was my dream machine in the mid-90s. So hang on and see why. Wait, before I run the intro sequence, please use the time to press subscribe. What makes this machine special to me? Well, let's begin answering that by looking at the machine itself. In the front we have a CD reader and a writer. We have a floppy drive, on and off switch, a turbo button that does not work because the motherboard doesn't have a connection for that, and we have the reset button at the bottom, and my general MIDI sticker. Okay, let's turn it around. On the back we of course have the power supply, a printer port, parallel port, no, that's actually a serial port, a DIN plug for the keyboard. I've added a USB port. We have a small keyboard PS2 plug here for the keyboard, printer port and serial port, an extra serial port. On the printer port you can see that I have added an S2P, that's a general MIDI device, one of the best general MIDI devices out there in my opinion. I really love the sound that comes from this device. More on that later. We also have a compact flash card here. This is a 4 GB compact flash. I'm at the moment only using 2 of those gigabytes on partition 1. We have a VGA card, Mac 64, ATI Mac 64. This is a network card, NE2000, and an AWE32 Sound Blaster card. And as you can see, I've used the power from one of the USB ports to power the S2P, and I have a small jack cable that goes from the sound out from the S2P and to line in on the sound card. Okay, let's take a look inside the machine. So this is the inside of the machine. The first thing I have done on this machine was to add 2 resistors to the fan for the power supply, so it runs slower and then generate less noise. I've also connected 2 USB ports at the back, this one, and I used DuPont cables to connect it to the motherboard because the connection I had on my USB port did not fit. So as you can see, I've just added a DuPont cable and put some tape around it, but it works perfectly. It's only USB 1.0, but that's good enough because the only thing I use it for at the moment is power. Okay, there is the inside of the SD card adapter, SD to IDE. I always, on DOS computers, I always use this adapter. It works very good, and because we have access to it from the outside, it's easy to take out the card and insert it to a modern machine to copy over games or programs. This is the Sound Blaster card. Let's see, there is the Sound Blaster card. Sound Blaster AWE32. This is a special model that contains the same FM chip as the AWE64, if I'm not mistaken. I've added 2 megabytes of RAM, so I can load MT32 or general MIDI sound fonts. I've added a new fan, brand new, to get less noise from it. I also, as you can see behind the sticker there, I've added 2 resistors, again in parallel, so it doesn't get too hot. And I've just put that on the metal here, so the metal will make it stay cooler. Okay, that was that for the inside. Let's boot it up and have a look at config and autoexec.bat. So here is IDA. Let's just jump to the summary. As we can see, it's an Intel Pentium 200 MHz. This is actually a 200 MHz MMX version. It is a QDI Titanium 1 motherboard. It has 64 megabytes of RAM, and it has an Intel Triton 430 TX chipset. That's quite one of the good chipsets. Further, we see that it has ATI Max 64 with 2 megabytes of RAM. It has Sound Blaster AWE32, and it detects the floppy drive and the hard drive and the CD-ROM. So booting up the machine, the first thing we see that I'm running MS-DOS 622. And you may recognize this startup menu. It's the one that Phil's Computer Lab is using on his DOS PIF icon in Windows 95 and 98. I've just edited so it fits my needs. I've added a PAMZIP driver, Norwegian settings, and some other things I'll show you shortly. So now I've opened up the config.sys file, and as mentioned, it's based on Phil Computer Lab's PIF file for Windows. First thing I do is set the switches to be /F. This will reduce boot up time with 2 seconds. Of course, those in high and upper memory. Files 40. Stacks often not needed to have this, but I have at least one Apogee game that needs this in the config file, and it doesn't take up many bytes of memory. So yeah, I like 4DOS, so I have a shell command saying that instead of booting command.com, boot 4DOS.com. With my environment space 1024 bytes, and the P is for letting the 4DOS be permanent. As you can see, the settings, different choices in the config.sys basically revolves about am I using expanded or extended or conventional memory. And then you can choose if you want a mouse driver, a CD driver, or USB driver or not. My primary startup is the number 5 here, expanded memory with mouse driver and Norwegian keyboard. So when using this, I don't have access to my CD-ROM or my USB stick or a PAMZIP or a zip drive if it's connected. But this is usually good enough. In one of the rare cases where I need the CD-ROM, I'll just reboot with the CD-ROM driver. I have a couple of things here that I just want to show. You can see here the device high to start the DOS USB driver. So with this driver, I'm able to use the USB stick or connect an external hard drive or whatever storage medium to my USB port on the back. I've just added that with the driver for the expanded memory. I could have added it here also with the extended memory, but I don't see any point. I've added a couple of lines here for Norwegian character sets, and I'm always using ANSI/SYS because without ANSI/SYS the colors will not show correctly, for instance in 4DOS. One last thing I want to show you here, if I boot up with extended memory instead of expanded memory, I have added this device driver here that basically enables DOS to use upper memory without having an EMM installed, EMM386 installed. As you see, the EMM386 is rammed out, but instead I'm using this. It does much of the same regarding putting programs up in upper memory, but it's only compatible with some Intel chipsets. But when it works very good, so it's recommended. Okay, the rest you see here is just activating the Sound Blaster card in DOS. This is the autoexec.bat. First thing is to have the prompt set. I put break on, so more often Control-C will work. Verify on, it's just that every time it writes to a disk, it will verify that it has actually written the file. This will make write operations slower, but it's no problem on a compact flash card. It's so super quick anyway. I've set a pretty long path statement here because I like to access all kinds of programs easily. This color deer, it's for 4DOS, so it gives colors to certain files and directories. You probably recognize the set blaster and these set commands here. They are all for the sound card. The first 3 options in config.sys, they all load the CD-ROM driver, but if we go down to the ones I usually use, they don't load the CD-ROM driver, but they add the Norwegian characters, and they also load this AWE32 command. If you don't do that, your FM synth or AdLib compatibility will not be enabled. As you see, I also have 2 parameters here, one for reverb and one for chorus. So that's the setting I prefer. And going further down, we are doing some changes to the keyboard, so it's quicker on repeating keys. Norwegian keyboard settings, the mouse drivers, Qt mouse or CT mouse from 3DOS. It's one of the best, probably the best. Finally, we're running some more sound card programs. This is, I'm not 100% sure what it does. This is a diagnostic, and at last we'll just set the volume levels to whatever you prefer. Okay, I've now booted the machine with extended memory, and as we can see, I'm not running EMM386 or anything else that puts the machine or DOS in protected mode. So I'm still running real mode, but I've moved a few of the drivers and apps to upper memory. So this is an excellent way of getting more conventional memory without using EMM386 or equivalent programs. I've spent a few hours using the 4DOS command to add comments to files and directories. It helps a lot. As you can see, my catalogs and some of my files have an explanation of what they contains. So going to my games catalog, you will see I've organized my games into CGA, CGA Composite, EGA games, monochrome games, etc., etc. This way, it's well, I'll prefer it this way, so it's easier to me to find the games that works on different machines, because I often use the same compact flash, just copy it and use it on different kind of machines. So if I go to, for instance, this catalog and type dir, you will see there are added comments here. The comments are usually the year the game came out, the graphic modes it supports, and the sound cards it supports. In some cases, I've also added comments on how to start it to get the best possible sound. Okay, let's talk about the sound card. It's AWE32. I've downloaded drivers from Phil's Computer Lab. You see the CTC MBBS and the SP Basic. If you just run those two files, they will unpack, and you can then run setup or install, and it will basically do all the settings necessary. I've also added 3 synth or sound fonts, one for general MIDI, one for GS, and one for MT32. But let's dive some more into that part of this computer. I don't like the general MIDI or MT32 compatibility. Most games, probably 99% of all games I've tried, crashes when I try to use the soft fonts or sound fonts. So let's show you this GM.bat. It loads AWE util with the chorus and reverb, and then with the /em:/gm it puts the card into general MIDI mode. So let's do that, and as we can see, it has now loaded the sound font and for the general MIDI support. So if I go to music and try to play something, let's go to DOS-MID and /m2u equals and the port number and a MIDI song. We'll see it crashes. This happens to almost everything I try. I can't remember any games on the top of my head that is working with this sound card in this machine. So that leads me to the next thing. So what do you do when the MIDI sound from your sound card is crap? Well, before I continue, I should mention that the AWE32 has its own MIDI chip on port 630. So if you have games supporting that, you will get very good or decent MIDI. But I'm not satisfied, so I connected my S2P, which I bought from Surda Shop, and connected that to the printer port. And by using soft MPU with these parameters and /MT32, I put the S2P into MT32 compatibility mode. So I'm running the command, and let's go to a game and start it and have a look, or have a hear. So how did I connect these things? Well, when we looked at the back, we saw that the S2P is connected to the printer port or parallel port, and it draws power from the USB, and the output is sent to line in on my sound card. So we can see here that my voice, or what is called digital sound, is set to about 80%. MIDI from the AWE32 is to about 90%. CDs, I've turned that all the way down. Everything you don't need, you turn it down so you don't get so you get less noise. The line is on max because there's no noise coming from the S2P. You can actually put it to the max. Of course, turned off the mic, and as you can see, the PC speaker is on about 50%. because I have connected the PC speaker with the 2 DuPont wires to the sound card. So by running the soft MPU and setting the S2P in general MIDI mode and doing a patch on Doom, it will support the S2P. Let's listen. Okay, let's start the game so the good music can begin. Ooh. Don't you just love this intro? It gets your blood flowing. Okay, I'll not play the game now, but use this opportunity to talk some more about the machines. What do I like about this machine? What makes this machine so great for me? Well, the specs. It's a Pentium 200 MMX with plenty of memory, at least for DOS. I've never liked fan noise. I've liked the hard disk sound, but fan noise, that's just noise. So after modding the CPU and power supply fan, I can hardly hear the fans. Having a good sound card with low noise levels is important, and having a superb MIDI is even more important. Having superb MIDI was never any option for me, at least in the 90s. I had hardly even heard about Roland. I met one guy who had one. This machine is now my go-to machine for DOS games, even CGA and EGA games. Even the games with built-in speaker sounds okay, since I have connected the speaker to my AWE32 cards, and from there into my Roland speakers. So while Tyrion 2K is playing in the background, I would like to thank you for watching my video, and I hope you liked it. I liked making it. I wish this video will inspire you to create your perfect retro PC from whichever period you enjoy going back to. Don't forget to check out my other videos, and please subscribe.